What's good, y'all? Welcome to an episode of Buzz Boys. And today we're going to be talking about, can LiAngelo make the real roster? Personally, I'm going to get straight to it. No clickbait. My answer is yes. I think he's going to make the real roster. Right now, the roster heading to training camp stands at 20 people. The Hornets have posted it earlier. I'm about to pull that up right now. And, I mean, when you look at the list, bro, make sure to look at the screen. My screen presence need to be better. All right, I mean, you got LaMelo, LiAngelo, Book Knight, Jalen Crutcher, who's been on the fucking Hornets G League team for I don't know how long now. We know he's not making the roster. Anthony Derugi, never heard of him. He's not making the roster. Gordon Hayward, Kai Jones, Cody Martin, McGowns is already on a two-way contract, so that doesn't count against the roster. Now, I think Bryce McGowan is very talented. He played great in Summer League. Do I think that he can earn his way onto the real roster? Yes. But just kind of knowing Mitch, he usually keeps people on those two-ways. So I do believe he'll stay on the two-way, but I think he could earn his way into this roster. I do think he's very talented. Anyway, Kelly Oubre, Mason Plumlee, sadly, Nick Richards, Terry Rozier, Jalen Sims, he's not making the roster. Dennis Smith Jr., JT Thor, PJ Washington, Isaiah Whaley, not making the roster. Mark Williams. So right there, we can count Crutcher, Derugi, Jalen Sims, Isaiah Whaley. That's 4 people right there that's not making the roster. So it automatically goes from 20 to 16 with those people. And then, damn, I'm going blank. McGowan's on the two-way. So that right there is 15 people. That's 15 right there. If the roster stays the same, LiAngelo will make it unless we go out and make another move. And technically, the roster is at 13 right now because Dennis Smith Jr. and LiAngelo are both on unguaranteed deals. They're both unguaranteed right now. So, like, they're on the roster, but it's not guaranteed, so they're not taking up a roster spot right now. Basically, the deal gets you in a training camp. Like, you're really on the team, but, obviously you got to make it to past training camp. So, right now, as it stands, I have him making the roster unless we decide to go into the season with a roster spot open for somebody, which sometimes teams do. If we go into the roster with 15 people, LiAngelo will be one of those 15. All he has to do is beat out some guys we've never heard of before. I mean, we've heard of Jalen Crutcher. We know he's not making the team. He hasn't made it before. He's on the Greensboro Swarm every year. So, personally, I say yes, I think he can make it. I'm happy for Jello, man. It's been a long time coming. Like I talked about in my last video, Jello works hard every time he's on the floor. So I know once he goes to training camp and he competes, he's going to earn his keep. Dennis Smith Jr. recently said this is the first time he's ever felt like a team wanted to develop him. So I don't know what, they told him when they signed him, but it seems like he does have a future in Charlotte just by the way that he was speaking. Even though he's on a 1-year unguaranteed deal, you don't really get talked about development if you're not going to make it past training camp, So Dennis Smith Jr. is definitely on the roster to me, in my opinion, because we need a backup point guard. I don't see him not making the roster. So to me, Jello, Dennis Smith Jr. deals will both be finalized, and they're both going to be on the roster. That's just my opinion. Like I said, you never know. Somebody becomes available. We make a trade. Right now, Miles Bridges is not a part of this 15-man, well, even a part of the 20-man. Miles Bridges is not a part of that. So you never know what happens with that. If he beats his case or whatever the case may be, technically he's still a restricted free agent for us. So you never know where that comes in. I don't know. But as of right now, if everything stays the exact same, LiAngelo Ball will be in a Hornets uniform moving forward. Now, preseason, I'm definitely going to a preseason game. Like I talked about, sirens and shit. Like I talked about earlier in a few videos back, or maybe this was the last video from yesterday, man. It all be gelling together. I'm not going to be able to make it to opening night. So I'm definitely going to a preseason game and getting some good-ass seats for the cheap. I'm definitely going to go to a preseason game for sure. Probably I know the first home preseason game is in Greensboro. I'll probably wait to go to Charlotte. Um, I don't know. I just don't really want to go to the Greensboro one. I don't know. I'll just probably wait to go to the first real Charlotte one in Spectrum Arena, even though that's a further drive for me. But I don't know. I just prefer to be in the real arena and get some real good seats up close for the cheap. But anyway, I am looking forward to the preseason, man. Steve Clifford has said that Plumlee is the starter if the season started today. Now, you never know. In training camp, Mark Williams could go crazy. Kai Jones could go crazy. Anything could happen. But yesterday, he said if the season started today, Plumlee is the starting center and Nick Richards is the backup. He said the most he's seen, like the most growth he's seen since he's came has been Nick Richards. So, obviously, Nick Richards has had a very good summer. I think he played well in Summer League. I saw some people killing him about his Summer League performance. I think he played good. I don't know. Anyway, Mark Williams, he's a rookie, but he's 7'2". His teammates have spoken really highly about him. Jalen McDaniels has spoken highly about him. Even Steve Clifford has said he sees a three-pointer in Mark Williams' future. And he made some three-pointers at Duke. So, you know, Steve Clifford talked about how he's going to be out there shooting some threes sooner than later. So I do think Mark Williams is going to see the court. I don't think this is going to be a Borrego situation. Before the All-Star break, I think Plumlee will be pretty much glued to the bench, in my opinion, as long as the young guys do what they're supposed to do and are able to facilitate. Because one thing about Plumlee, he can facilitate from the center position. So, you know, they're going to have to pick up the slack on that. But I want Kai Jones on the floor, and like with Nick Richards and Mark Williams. Steve Clifford said that he sees Kai Jones as a 5. So that's even more of like a cluster at the center position if Steve Clifford views Kai Jones as a 5. With him being viewed as a 4 under Borrego, that gave like that P.J. Washington, Kai Jones backup thing. But if Steve Clifford doesn't view Kai Jones as a power forward, as a 4, then that's even less minute opportunities because we have 4 fucking centers now between Plumlee, Richards, Kai Jones, and Mark Williams. So, yeah, I want to see Kai Jones on the floor, bro. Like, I really do. I don't want us to waste our picks, man. They need to be developed. Book night, I expect him to be a big part. Based off of what Steve Clifford said about him, he has the potential to be a really nice two-way guard in this league. So I have hope for our young players this year. And as long as Gordon Hayward stays healthy, man, we can accomplish some things. And, you know, I love Jalen McDaniels. I think he could have an impact too. But you never know, man. Something could happen and LiAngelo's number gets called. And I think he'll produce, man. I really do. He's a 3-and-D guy and he works hard. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Keep it short and sweet. Hold on. Shams tweet. Oklahoma City is trading Vic Krajicki to Atlanta for Mo Harkless in the second-round pick. So, even though that's a no-name, they just got Mo Harkless in the second-round pick. So, you just never know, man. You never know. As like I said, if the roster started today, I think LiAngelo's on it. But you never know. A trade can happen. Anything can happen. Somebody can get cut coming out of training camp that we expected to make a roster, and we go and pick them up. You know, you just never know what the fuck's going to happen. But in my opinion, do I think LiAngelo makes the roster? The answer is yes. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.